In this part of the presentation, part 2, I'm going to explain each of the coordinating conjunctions. Remember that we are calling now coordinating conjunctions because we are going to put together two parts that are equal. My two independent clauses are going to have the same elements. Both of them are going to have subjects, and both independent clauses are going to have verbs. So that's why we call them coordinating, because we have a balance. All right, so now let's take a look, and the best way to remember the coordinating conjunctions is with the acronym FAMBOYS. FAMBOYS is an acronym. So we have F for and A for N for north, B for but, O for or, Y for yet, and S for so. So fanboys is not the name of these words. Fanboys is the best way to remember them. There are 7 coordinating conjunctions, and we call them coordinating because they are going to join together two independent clauses that they are equal in structure. They have balance. Both of these parts are going to have subjects and verbs. That's why now we're going to call them coordinating, because they coordinate. Their function is to coordinate, okay? And it is important because if we don't put a comma and we don't find all these elements before we create a compound sentence, we're going to make a mistake, and we want to prevent those mistakes. Okay, so remember, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so, they are the 7 coordinating conjunctions that we need to study now.
I have and I have nor. Notice that I put a plus after and I have the plus symbol, and nor I have the minus symbol. They are used to show an agreement between items. We're going to call these items clauses at this moment. Clauses. Remember that we have independent clauses and also dependent clauses. Now we are working with independent clauses. We are working with subjects, verbs, comma, coordinating conjunction, subjects, and verbs. Okay, so and nor, they show agreement. Remember this. 2, yet, and but are used to show a disagreement between clauses. So one part is going to be different than the other part. So the first independent clause is going to have a different meaning than the second one. They're not agree. Look at number 1. With and nor, yes, they are agree. They are going to be similar. But the difference is that and I'm going to join two things that are positive. And with nor we are going to join two things that are two parts that are negative. That's the only difference. But then in north, we need to pay attention because everything changes. The grammar changes. And I'm going to explain that. Let's take a look at the third line. For and so. For and so are used to show a reason between clauses. Also, I'm going to explain you the order when to use for and so. Is the cause and effect, and the other is the effect and cause. So yes, there is a difference. And the last line, I have the coordinating conjunction or. Or is used to show agreement or disagreement between clauses. So now that we have all the concepts clear and all the different situations and combinations that we may have when we write with simple sentences, the second part is my goal, and this part is to explain each of the coordinated conjunctions and a lot of information that you're going to have in this presentation. You don't have that in your book, but I know that it's going to serve you and it's going to help you a lot for you in the future, okay, for your learning experience and also to improve your writing. So if you want, you can take a break. You can pause this and come back and review this again because I'm going to explain everything. Are you ready? Let's start with for. For, in this case, when we use for as a preposition, it has a different meaning. When we use for as a preposition, for can be followed by a noun or by an object, never by a verb, okay, or by infinitive. But yes, for can be followed by a gerund if it's working as a preposition. But now I want you to focus and to think about the word for as a conjunction. Only when it works as a conjunction, its meaning is going to change. In other words, when you have an independent sentence, when you have an independent clause plus another independent clause and for is in the middle, the meaning is the same as because. The only difference is that when we have subject and verb, independent clause, coordinated conjunction, and another subject and verb, another independent clause, if we choose to write the word because, we are not going to put a comma. Because also is a conjunction, but it is a subordinated conjunction. It's not part of the FAM voice. So the comma rule is going to change with the word because. Remember that I'm talking about for as a coordinated conjunction, and only with compound sentences is going to mean because. In this case, yes, I need to put a comma before the word for. We never put a comma before the word because. Now that we have that clear, I want to show you the meaning of that. If this word that we are talking about, the for that we are talking about, means because, also we need to pay attention that the first part of this compound sentence shows the effect, and the second part shows the cause. Okay, so with for, we need to keep in mind that for, remember, means because, and then when we are writing compound sentences, the first part is the effect and the second part is the cause. And I believe that with this explanation, it's going to be easier for us to use it. Let's take a look at the examples. Number 1, I drank some water. 4, I was thirsty. Can you see it? The first part is my independent clause. I is my subject. Drunk is the verb in past. Some water is my object. I drank some water. Everything is my independent clause. I need to put the comma. Then I need to use a coordinating conjunction. The best coordinating conjunction for this situation is going to be for, because it's telling the reader, it's telling the person who is listening to me that the effect is that I drank water because I was thirsty. So I drank some water for I was thirsty. I is my subject, was is my second verb, and thirsty is the adjective. So everything together is a compound sentence. I have two independent clauses joined by a coordinating conjunction. Now I have my second coordinating conjunction, and. And expresses a relationship of addition. The idea in the first sentence or the first clause is added to the idea in the second sentence or second clause. Example: Thad has won several trophies, and he is an honor student. So because Thad has won several trophies, right? Can you see that? Thad is my subject, has is my verb, has won, actually everything has and won is only one verb. Several trophies is my object. And then I have my comma, and he is an honor student. And is my coordinating conjunction. I need to put a comma, and after and I have he's a subject, is the verb, another student is my complement. After is, never an object. So everything together, if you see, we have two independent clauses joined by a comma and a coordinating conjunction that makes one compound sentence. Now is my third coordinating conjunction. And I need you to pay special attention with nor. Nor also is going to join two parts, two items, two phrases, or two independent clauses that the first part is negative and the second part is going to be negative. Two, but the difference is that it has a different grammar rule. Okay, so my first part, my first independent clause always is going to be negative. The second part after nor is going to change and is going to look as a question. I know that this is kind of tricky, but if you write and if you pay attention to all the examples that you're going to see after this slide, I believe that it's going to be better and easier for you. Even though we don't have that in our book, that's why I said it is very important for you if you can save this and you can study in the future from this slide, because I know that is going to help you a lot. Okay, so here we're going to see examples, and I'm going to give you all the words that you need in order to make the second independent clause when you are going to use the word nor. Okay, so nor means also not. That's the real meaning of nor. Also not. Nor requires an unusual grammar. The first sentence or clause, in this case, will contain a negative verb. The second part, which is the second sentence or the second clause, will contain what looks like an interrogative affirmative verb. So the second part is not going to be negative, but it's going to look exactly as when we make questions. So yes, you're going to use, it depends of the verb and also depends on the subject, if it is plural, if it is singular, if it is what kind of verb you are using, if you're using the verb to be, all these things. If you are using the modal, you need to have these things in consideration. But the trick here is that you will have it, you are going to be able to see it, so you are going to be fine, because the ones that is going to guide you is your independent clause, your first independent clause. And we're going to we're going to analyze each of the sentences. Okay, so yes, for the second independent clause, you might need to use do, does, did, or is, or or are, or was, or were. Also, you might need to use can, could, will, would, may, might, must, or should, or be, may, verb, as in is, are, was, where. I repeated that it was at the beginning, so it's okay. So no, don't worry, you will understand this. Okay, don't worry, I'm going to explain you this. Example number 1. She doesn't drink milk. Did you notice? She is my subject. Doesn't drink is negative. It's a negative of drink, correct? Doesn't drink. I need to use doesn't because it's a third person. So she doesn't drink milk, comma. Nor does she eat butter. See, after nor, it looks exactly as if we were making a question. I need to use the word does? Because the first one has doesn't. So that's going to be your guide. Okay? If I use doesn't, you're going to change the second part, the dependent clause, into does. And then it's going to, after does, you will follow, you're going to go back to your dependent clause, your independent clause. I mean, you're going to look at your noun, your subject is she. So after that, you're going to write she. Okay, now you're going to continue writing whatever she's not doing or she doesn't like. Okay, in this case, she doesn't drink milk or butter. None of these things. She doesn't like them. Okay, she doesn't eat them, drink or eat. Okay, so my other verb can change into eat, and then my complement is butter. Do you notice this? So the name of this sentence is a compound sentence with the word nor. Let's continue. Again, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 different examples with the word nor, because you need to see all the different cases. Example number 2. She doesn't drink milk, nor does she eat butter. It's the same as the one that I had before. The second one is, I can't whistle. If you don't know what is whistle, go to the dictionary, stop here, go to the dictionary and take a look at what a whistle is. Nor can I sing. So let's take a look at the first part of this sentence. The first part is the independent clause. I is the subject. Can't whistle is my verb. This is an independent clause. Comma, nor. Then look at the first part of this sentence, can't. So you're going to change can't for can. Then you're going to use the same subject, I. You're going to write I after can. And then you're going to put the word or the verb or whatever you want to say that this person cannot do it. So in this case is sing. The name of this sentence is a compound sentence. And it has two independent clauses and a coordinating conjunction in the middle with a comma. Let's take a look at the other example. He didn't study last night. My first independent clause is negative. He is the subject. Didn't study is one verb, last night. Comma, nor did, because you are using did. Here you see did, didn't. Can you read didn't in the first independent clause? You're going to copy, but in positive. If I have didn't, I'm going to write did. What subject do you have? He. So you're going to copy the subject after the, copy the subject, he, and then you're going to complete the sentence. Something that he's not doing it, right? In this case, he didn't study. Also, he didn't read his book. That is a problem. But because I need to make a compound sentence and use the word nor, I need to follow this structure. Okay? Yes, there are different ways that you can express the same idea. There are different ways that you can make sentences. But if you want to make a compound sentence with the first part, the first independent clause in negative, the second part needs to be like this. Okay, so this is a rule that we need to study and follow. And last one, we're going to analyze the last compound sentence with the word nor, And in this case, we're going to use the verb to be were in past. Let's take a look. They were not, or they weren't. It's the same, right? They were not wearing jackets. They is my subject. Were not wearing is my verb. Jackets is my object. Comma, nor is my coordinating conjunction. If I'm using, look back to your independent clause, your first independent clause, you are using the word were, so you're going to copy were again, but not negative at this time. Then copy use the same subject, they, so you're going to copy they, and then you're going to write whatever complement you need to write. In this case, they weren't wearing jackets, and also they didn't carry any umbrellas. But instead of talking everything like I just said, and if you need to make compound sentences, this is the right way to do it with the word nor. The first part, remember, if the first independent clause is in negative, nor goes in the middle with a comma, and after that is the independent clause is not in negative, and it looks like a question. All right, so we are going to continue with the next coordinated conjunction, but. The conjunction but is used to introduce a contrast between the two elements that are linked. Look at the note. It says, this cannot be used to link two nouns together. Remember at the beginning of this presentation when I show you how to create different kind of structures of simple sentences. I use or, I used and is more frequently used, but also we can create simple sentences with nor, but we don't create sentences with but linking two nouns together. We might do it and might use it with phrases, but not nouns. Okay, so please keep that in mind, and also you can review your book for different examples. So but expresses a relationship of opposition. The idea in the first sentence is in opposition to the idea of the second sentence or clause. And that makes sense because I have two nouns, and if I said, for example, Maria but young, doesn't make sense. Oranges but bananas doesn't make sense. So this is what we're trying to say, okay? So now let's take a look at the example here. I have two examples. She loves him, comma, but he is mean. So she loved him is my first clause, my independent clause, and I have she is my subject, love is my verb, then I have a comma, my coordinated conjunction, and my second independent clause. He is my subject, is my verb, mean is an adjective. Okay, so what we're trying to say is that if someone is mean, usually we don't love people that are mean. Mean is someone that really is not nice or kind. Usually people don't fall in love with people like that. It is a little difficult, but in this case, she still loves him. So that's why we use the but. Let's take a look at the second example. This book was very long, comma, but it was very interesting. Usually books are long, we get tired reading them, or we get bored reading them, but oh, this book caught this person's attention because it was very interesting. So that's why we use the but. And look, we have two independent clauses. My first clause is this book was very long. This book is my subject. Was is my verb. Very long is my complement. Comma, but is my coordinating conjunction. It is my subject. Was is my verb. And interesting is my adjective. Altogether, I have one compound sentence with two independent clauses. Okay, so let's continue with this. My next coordinating conjunction is or. And let's read this together. I believe that or is not that difficult because it gives you options. So, for example, if you go to a restaurant, you can create a sentence just offering, if you go to a restaurant or if you work for a restaurant, for example, I will say, I will offer this to my customer. Would you like to have some tea or coffee? Yes, because the person is not going to order two at the same time. It's going to order only one. Oh, I can have soup or salad. It's okay. I want to have only one, or soup or salad. It's okay with me. I don't have a problem. See? So you are telling that one of the options, the person can choose one of the options and you are going to be fine. Now you're in the restaurant and you are offering this to another person. You can say to your customer or client, you can have soup or coffee, only one. See? So we can create or we can create sentences, simple sentences, and we can join nouns with or. Okay, so no problem. But let's focus on our compound sentences. That's why we are calling them these conjunctions now. Remember, coordinating conjunctions. And my conjunction or is used to link things that are to be taken separately, or expresses a relationship of alternative. Okay, so the idea in the first sentence or independent clause is one option. The idea in the second sentence or independent clause is another option. Let's take a look. He can buy the book or he can borrow it from the library. So this person needs to read a book. And this person has two options. He can go to the store and buy the book or order the book online, or he can go to the library and borrow it, borrow the book. So two solutions in order for him to get a book, right? So the first one is one of the solutions and the other option is on the second clause. He is my subject, can buy, remember, is only one verb. Can is a modal, buy is the verb. So I have one verb here. The book, in this case, is my object. Buy is an action verb, so I have an object. Comma, or he can borrow it from the library. Borrow is another transitive verb, and it's action because you borrow, you go to the bank, you borrow money. Okay, so it's an action. So he can borrow, can is a modal, can borrow only one verb. It refers to the book. From the library is my complement. So I have only one sentence. The name of this sentence is compound sentence. And I have two independent clauses joined by a coordinating conjunction called or. Okay, so now we have the coordinated conjunction yet. Yet is similar to but yet expresses a relationship of opposition. Opposition is something contrary, something different. Opposed is, for example, the opposite of white is black, right? The opposite of happy is sad. That is the meaning of opposition. The idea in the first sentence is the opposition to the idea in the second sentence or independent clause. So examples. She told my secret to everyone. That's my first independent clause. Yet I choose to be her friend. I choose to be her friend is my second independent clause. So she is my subject, told is my verb, my secret is the object, to everyone is the complement of this part. So I have an independent clause here, comma, yet is my coordinating conjunction. I choose something contrary, see? I is my subject, choose is my verb, to be her friend is my complement. I choose to be her friend is my second independent clause. Altogether, I have one compound sentence. And let's read this explanation. The one that I have on the bottom, it says, it would be logical for me to decide not to be her friend. But she betrayed me. But still I want to be her friend. See? Let's look at example number 2. The movie was horrible. Yet Lydia had a good time. I still have here a compound sentence with two independent clauses, and the movie is my subject. Was is my verb, so it's correct. I have a complete independent clause. Horrible is my adjective, is describing how the movie was. Comma, yet is my coordinated conjunction. Lydia is the person that went to the movie, so Lydia is, she is the subject. Had a good time. Had is my verb. A good time is a phrase that expresses the complete idea how she felt, right? So it will be logical to think that Lydia had a bad time because the movie was horrible, but yet she had a good time. So see, the second part has something opposite, like the result is different. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at our coordinated conjunction so. The conjunction so is used to express a consequence or effect of one element on another. Important. So expresses a relationship of cause and effect. The idea in the first sentence or independent clause causes the idea in the second sentence or independent clause. This is a little different than for. For was all the way around. First, we introduce the effect and then the cause. Here, when we write, the first independent clause needs to express the cause, and then we're going to write, or we're going to express the effect. Okay, so this is cause and effect. When I kick a ball, I kick the ball, that's the cause, and the effect is the reaction. So it's what is the result, all right? So let's take a look at our examples here. Number one, they were in love. So two people love each other, correct? So they were in love is my first independent clause because I have a subject and I have a verb. They is my subject, were is my verb. Then I have my coordinating conjunction. So they got married. This is the result. This is the effect. They got married. They is my subject. Got is my verb. Can you see it? Number two, Carol was annoying, comma, so she left the party. Carol wasn't feeling very well. She was kind of uncomfortable in that party. Okay, that's the situation about how she was feeling at the moment in the party. So Carol is my subject, was is my verb, annoyed is my what? Annoyed is my adjective, okay? So my complement. So Carol was annoyed, independent clause, comma, so my coordinating conjunction. She left the party is my independent clause. She is my subject. Left is the verb. The party is my complement. She left the party, okay? Because my cause, the cause was the situation, how she felt at the moment, and the effect is that she left. See, cause and effect. Got it? Perfect. So now that we finish reviewing the meaning and you have different examples with all the coordinating conjunctions, let's take a look at some basic rules and aspects of these topics that we have to remember and study. So joining independent clauses, that means putting together two independent clauses. An independent clause can stand by itself as a complete sentence. We know that because we have a subject and a verb, right? So to join two independent clauses, so that means to put them together, writers often use a comma followed by a coordinating conjunction. So the basic structure of a sentence that uses a coordinating conjunction is as follows. You can see the formula. Subject plus verb, complement, don't forget this, comma, coordinating conjunction. Coordinating conjunction are all the 7 coordinating conjunctions that we just saw. So if someone wants to write because, while, when is not a coordinating conjunction, please remember only in the middle we can write any of the fam boys that we use these acronyms to remember them. So those are my coordinating conjunctions. They are the only ones that can be here in the middle and join together my second independent clause. My second independent clause still need to have a subject and a verb and a complement. So I want you to study and memorize this formula because I know this is going to help you a lot. Joining two independent clauses with a coordinating conjunction creates a compound sentence. So two independent clauses equal compound sentence. In order to make this perfect, we need to have the comma and the coordinated conjunction in the middle. So examples, I like football, comma, and I like hockey is my compound sentence. The directions are complicated, comma, but I'm starting to understand them. Equals compound sentence. So I'm writing C period S period to compound sentences in this case. To summarize this presentation, I believe that I showed you and I walked you through in class and also here with the presentation. Something that you have to remember is this one simple rule. If you are linking two clauses with a conjunction, use a comma before the conjunction. That's the rule that you have to remember. And also remember that these clauses, they need to be independent clauses. Independent clauses are those that have a subject and a verb, and then they are expressing a complete thought. I laughed. Everybody can understand what is I laughed. And I cry. I have a subject and a verb, subject and a verb. This is a compound sentence joined by a coordinating conjunction and a comma. I went to the party, comma, and I danced all night. This rule applies only if you are linking sentences and independent clauses. Thank you very much for watching, and I will keep you posted with more presentations about complex sentences. Talk to you soon.
All right, with this presentation, this part 2 of coordinating conjunctions, we were able to complete all the explanations about coordinating conjunctions and compound sentences. Thank you for watching, and I see you soon.